My name is Michael Miller. This is a Michael Miller trademark training video out to you, because you're watching, meant for Michael Miller Pilates licensed affiliates, the Core New Core, anyone interested in surviving as a Pilates instructor, and anyone interested in Core New tension and using it to move through space or stay still, but awareness of it. Okay, so 3 things today, not very many, even considering it was a weekend. Although I did have another title in there I didn't add. The question, what makes Pilates Pilates? And I don't think there's really an answer to that, because Pilates is whatever you make of it. It's a guy's name associated with a method that has at least 10,000 different views of it, and each one is unique, yours and mine. And to survive as a Pilates instructor, I'm hoping that my view helps me survive and have the confidence in how well it has served me as an instructor, to hope that you're aware of this point of view as part of what you use in your magic as a Pilates instructor. Now, this view I've been talking about for decades can be described as a theory. And I encourage you to Google the definition of theory, because it's an explanation. So when you're pressed about presenting the Michael Miller Pilates theory presentation, keep in mind, first and foremost, that a theory is meant to be an explanation. It just explains, and it's meant to explain facts. You see, the facts that MMP as a theory explains are Joe's original work. And I always say Joe's pictures, Joe's words, and Joe's film. But there is no film in his book, so you don't really need film to get to the theory of Michael Miller Pilates. And what is a theory? It's meant to be an explanation. Usually, that involves principles, general principles, reaching for some ideal in which the theory transcends the fact in its explanation. Does that make sense? It's not just the facts themselves, it's that the facts have an explanation, and in that explanation, the theory, of course, is that there's an ideal represented within the facts. There are many views of Pilates, and most of those views come through the filter of an inherited aristocratical view of Pilates based on someone that knew Joe and then who taught others. So tradition, which is a great way to know about anything. But no matter how much tradition you know, if there's a acknowledged ideal or explanation in Joe's original work that heretofore, meaning up till now, you haven't really been aware of, then by all means it's something worth knowing, because there are others who are aware of this explanation, and you at least want to be able to say, oh yeah, I've been there, done that. Good luck with that. So, Pilates theory. Pilates theory is an explanation. Michael Miller Pilates is a theory of Pilates because it's meant to be an explanation of the facts, looking for an ideal based on general principles. See, it nicely covers the history of Pilates and that they're, Freeman and Eison's book and general principles, and how much latitude that gave to Pilates being whatever anybody mixed up among those principles, including more of their own principles and leaving out what the freedom of arbitrary interpretation is there, and it still is there, and it will always be there. MMP is an arbitrary interpretation of explanation, really, of the facts of Joe's book. And so if you're hip to Michael Miller Pilates and you're wondering if you know anything, what is in Joe's book that is the foundation of the theory Michael Miller Pilates presents? It's an explanation. You're just presenting an explanation. So as a Michael Miller Pilates affiliate that is making a presentation of the theory, right, you'd have to be affiliated to do that, and that requires a license, but that can be a good thing because it can restrict other people from diluting your opportunity. So, number 2, recognize that MMP is unique. Now, maybe that's obvious, maybe not, but saying it is important because it leads to the question, well, why is it unique? And it's unique because it's based on Joe's original work as facts, and interprets those facts without any other influence or interpretation by anybody that works with Joe, or somebody that knew somebody that worked with Joe. See, it's not a tradition by word of mouth. It's an explanation by existing facts. And I think that's unique in the Pilates culture. And anybody that is in pursuit of really understanding Pilates, my opinion, my point of view, is that on the subject of Pilates, there is a peak to that mountain, that subject, and it has to be in the ideal. And in that regard, we all meet at the same place, if Pilates has an ideal to it. Because the ideal is what it is, just like the top of the mountain is what it is, which has something to do with why the symbology of ideal is associated with the mountains, high country, because of the perspective and the point of view. Number 3 is that core new tension is obvious. It's as easy and as simple as me showing you rotation in the arms and asking you to see rotation around a line through the ears and then opposing the direction of those rotations. How long does that take? 10 seconds? So core new tension is obvious if it's pointed out, but you're unaware of it unless someone does, I think. And that's why it took me all the way to the United States Patent Office to get a trademark on my trademark that points to the core new tension that the body utilizes to move through space. And now, Michael Miller Pilates licensed affiliates can present workshops on subjects like Pilates theory. And in that workshop, in that presentation, it's not even a workshop. I think of it as a presentation that happens within 55 minutes so that it can happen within an hour at a studio, where all you do is explain the theory. And because I've said that Michael Miller, me, brings two things to the table, artistically, if you will, or professionally. And that's MMP, Michael Miller Pilates, and CT, core new tension. And core new tension is outside of and beyond MMP, because Pilates is Joe's original work, and it's Joe's method, and MMP is only a theory or an explanation about those facts. Okay? Core new tension is an illumination of the existence of core new tension in the body, that the body uses core new tension to move through space, and that the more one recognizes how the body seeks to achieve the physics in order to move through space, see, that means that core new tension, the core new spiral is a mathematical shape in space that is two spirals opposing one another. So right there is the coiling is the core new spiral. That's why my trademark has the nickname of core new, right? But it's also called the Euler curve. Okay? Same shape, same fact of physics, pointed out by a different scientist. And then Fresnel came along and put it to a differential equation. And my point is that our body is reaching for core new tension to most effectively engage itself in its movement through space. And so if you're presenting both the subject of core new tension and Michael Miller Pilates, which would you present first? I've given it some thought, and so far right now, I think you have to present core new tension first, just so that you take a person out of their old mindset. If they haven't seen this at all, it's all new. And then to challenge those that cling to the old mindset. And so you present core new tension, and you present the core as a grip at the hips. That's very simple. Here's a grip, right? There's a grip, and the core is a grip at the hips, and that's a fact. Now, it doesn't have to be, but it can be. And to the extent that it is a grip, you have established your core, and the depth of the grip is the depth of your core. Part of that has to do with, here's a tape measure, right? See, tape measure. And the grip goes in or involutes, and to the extent that you can take your grip that might be really wide and get it down to something smaller in diameter, you have a better grip if it fits your fist. And if your fist is your hips, you want a grip that maximizes the strength of your hips. And so the drawing in the drawing in of your musculature, the engagement of your muscles in your hips, is about establishing a grip at the hips. And to me, you would think that would have been obvious 10 years ago, and yet it's still just conveniently ignored, because who wants the facts to interfere with the fiction? And you understand that, and that's human nature. But as an affiliate, if you're a presenter and you're presenting people, and see, that's the deal, I predict people are going to want to know more about what is different than the norm. Just because it's different, they haven't seen it before, and that's exposing a person that's looking at a blue pill Pilates world where everything is the norm, and one's understanding or exposure to what's out there is unthreatened by anything new. And it doesn't have to be threatened, but unexcited by the fact that something new could be out there. And to the extent that the Pilates tsunami of passion presses everyone to make more money off of, or in the middle of, more and more people seeking to do the same thing, my goal with my affiliates is to help empower them make money. And to this extent, as a presenter, they can be licensed to present the training material, organized, pre-organized, but the course material that does for two things, two different courses really, two different subjects. The one is the explanation of MMP, and the other is the explanation of core new tension. And I came around, I'm coming full circle in the sense that then those two things as presentations, if you present core new tension first, it somehow makes a crack in the norm of whatever the norm was before core new tension. And in that crack, there's a bigger opening to present Pilates theory, so that the theory of Pilates is more graspable, having been introduced to the theory of core new tension. And see, the great thing about core new tension is that you can feel it. Pulling your face away from an unwanted kiss is pulling your plane of your face back, which is taking this rotation and keeping it in a rotation, but drawing it to line up with your shoulders in line. And that's a place, that's a real place. And knowing how to feel that and not just think that you're reaching towards that is a difference in things, right? So, if you're not already presenting, get in touch with me if you want to be an affiliate and present these materials. There's a NDA associated with them, and that just seems to be the right thing to do to protect my affiliates and their opportunities. The time is coming. And in the midst of that, the best thing, easiest thing to give away is a sticker, and it can be with a brief explanation of what that is about in there. And when somebody's ready to know more, you've definitely opened the invitation. And whether they accept it or not is another matter. Whether they filter it or not, in whatever way they filter it, you can't deny a person their right to suffer. It's a Michael Millerism. And you can't pick your fans or when they show up, right? And even when if they do and when they do, you don't want your fans to distract you from what is coming from within already. You don't have time to figure it all out or to be distracted by anything. You're such a unique gift to the world. Only by paying close attention and listening to what comes from within can you find a peace in the being that you're in. Life can't live forever. Read between the lines. See behind the curtain. Add two and two. Direct your own thinking. And Geist